welcome inside the Alabama football conversation on a Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a very happy time to be a fan of the University of Alabama athletics when you discuss spring football drawing closer. When it comes to basketball, Alabama men's and women's basketball both projected to head to the NCAA tournament. And if Alabama men's basketball defeats Arkansas on this evening, it will win its first SEC regular season title for the first time since 2002. I mean, it is incredible to be an Alabama fan right now. You look at what baseball is doing, what softball is doing, what other sports around the athletic complex are doing. So very, very special time to be a fan here of Crimson Tide Athletics. But we're rocking and rolling with you right now on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you from the magic city of Birmingham. We are streaming to you the show through YouTube. So right now, go ahead, give a thumbs up on the show, like the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can be aware of all the news, notes, information, and coverage hitting you about your favorite program, the Crimson Tide. Not only do we have you covered there on YouTube, but on Facebook and Twitter also. All forms of social media got you covered there where the show is concerned. We are brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't done so, go ahead and copy that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, showing that support to Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, and the student athletes in that tradition, that pageantry, and owning and or dominating the fourth quarter. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to dive into. We got a lot to discuss. We got two home run hitting guests. We got a blockbuster show prepared for you on today. As a little bit later on in the show, we'll be joined live by former Alabama linebacker Joshua McMillan, a three-time national champion, four-time SEC champion, coming on the show. And then right after him, we got Coach Keith Miller, a young man who scouted out Bryce Young since the 8th grade. He knows Bryce Young. He knows Young's family personally, coming out of California, and he's going to come on the show and bring that fire as to why he feels like Bryce Young will be the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide in the upcoming season. So got two outstanding guests here coming on the show. Gonna be looking forward for that. And as always, folks, we want you being a part of the show. 205-448-1358. That is the number to call in to let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Guys, shout out my man John Ivory one time in that production studio doing his thing. And before we dive into the first topic here of conversation, our words of prayer and strong, smooth, safe recovery from here at TDA goes out to Tiger Woods and his family. Tiger encountered a serious car accident on yesterday, had his legs rolled over there and was rushed to the emergency room. And for a bit of time, it was kind of rough there on Tiger. You didn't quite know if he would pull through, and thankfully, as of today, he pulled through, doing better, doing healthy, is resting. They have his legs, his ankles, the entire lower extremities situated there where Tiger is concerned. So first and foremost, thank God he is okay. Golf aside, sports aside, athletics aside, thank goodness Tiger Woods is okay, because just at this point in time last year, back in January, we were, in utter stunned shock of what happened with Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant and the other passengers aboard that plane that crashed and took the lives of so many people. And we were hurt. We were so hurt and still hurt by that. And we were thinking, not again. Don't take Tiger. Not again. We can't have this happen again. So thankfully, Tiger Woods is okay. He is resting. He is recovering. So our thoughts and prayers are out to him, his wife, and his entire family, that Tiger will be able to make a strong, smooth, complete recovery and get back to the game that he loves so much, going out there and golf and having that joy that we know and we have known Tiger to have. But as we get into now, topic number one here of the conversation to start tonight's show, there is a sense of urgency within you, the Alabama football fans, for Bryce Young to start at quarterback in the upcoming season. There are many reasons why you want to see Bryce Young start, Bryce Young win the job, but there are two reasons, in my opinion, that stand out from among the rest as why we have this sense, as why you have this sense of urgency that, Bryce has got to be the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide in the upcoming season. But before we get into the two reasons here, first and foremost, we know Bryce Young is someone of 6 feet, 194 pounds, entering his sophomore year from the powerhouse modern-day high school in California. He played in 9 games a season ago, 9 games. He completed 13 of 22 passes for 156 yards and 1 touchdown. He accomplished so many awards in his high school career, in his prep school career prior to coming to Alabama. But as we now dive into now, the two reasons as to why Bama fans want to see him start, there's an urgency to see him start, and number one is Alabama has not had a lot of success with 5-star quarterbacks. It has not been able to have a lot of 5-star quarterbacks work and pan out here for in its tenure, especially under Nick Saban. When you talk about Alabama football, under Nick Saban here, you look at Phillip Sims came in as a 5-star in the 2010 class. Phillip Sims didn't pan out. They remember Blake Barnett came in the 2015 class, and people thought, get on the Blake Barnett bus. He's the next one. Prior to Tua and Bryce Young, Blake Barnett was the highest-rated quarterback in the Saban era from Corona, California. Everybody felt like Blake Barnett was going to be a big deal. Unfortunately, it did not pan out. And then Tua Tagovailoa comes in 2017. Now, he's a breath of fresh air from the other two. I mean, just seeing how Tua comes off the bench against Georgia in the 2018 national championship game and rescues the program to a national title. He's a breath of fresh air in that regard. He gets the program to a championship. However, in terms of being the guy, the starter, the man, wire to wire, start to finish, Tua injuries took him, right? He never really hit his full potential panning out as a starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide because of the injuries. 2018, he had the knee, he had the hand, he had some ankle issues. And then 2019, he had the other ankle, he had the hip. I mean, he just never was truly fully healthy after his freshman year. So he never really hit his peak. He never really hit his stride as a 5-star quarterback. And at times, you also wonder if Jalen Hurts did not struggle in the 2017 season, if Jalen Hurts did not have the struggles, do we know Tua today, do we know Tua like we know him today if Jalen Hurts would have been just balling out really good all the way through start to finish? Does Tua really see the field if Jalen Hurts does not have those struggles? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. There's a question that you have to get thrown into the pot there of conversation. So when you discuss Bryce Young, the question for Alabama fans is, can we finally have a quarterback, a 5-star quarterback from start to finish, from wire to wire, be that guy for us and win a national championship as the guy? Because Alabama, you guys have seen 5-star running backs start to finish, be the guy, win national championships. You've seen this with 5-star wide receivers. You've seen this with 5-star offensive linemen. You've even seen this with 5-star defensive players. But the question is, can Bama have the five-star quarterback from start to finish, from wire to wire, operate, be the man, lead this team here to a national championship. When you discuss, some non-five-star guys that have won championships for the Crimson Tide, you look at Greg McElroy. Greg McElroy came out of high school in Texas, a three-star, won a national championship in 2009, start to finish as the guy. A.J. McCarron was a four-star coming out of St. Paul's Episcopal High School in Mobile, a two-time national championship starting quarterback. 2011 and 2012, Jacob Coker was a three-star coming out of Mobile, goes to Florida State, transfers to Alabama, wins a national championship in 2015. And then Mac Jones this past season, a three-star from the Bowl School in Jacksonville, Florida, comes to Alabama, wins a national championship. So as you're seeing here, the guys that went wire to wire, start to finish as the guy, these were national championship starting quarterbacks, and these guys were not five-star athletes. So the number one reason that you as Alabama fans, you want to see Bryce Young start, and it's the urgency about you, is Bama has not had a lot of success with five stars being the guy, being the starter, and you're crying out, can Bryce Young finally give us that? The second reason is the state of California. The state of California is crying out, Bryce, can you be the guy to get Nick Saban back looking at us in terms of recruiting, whether it's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, you name it. Can you get Nick Saban back looking at us, Bryce, the state of Cali? Can you get Nick back looking at us in terms of the recruiting cycle? The last three signing classes, 2019, 2020, and 2021, Alabama's brought in 83 players. Of those 83 players, only two from the state of California. That's Bryce Young, and that's Trayshawn Holden at wide receiver. And if you remember a few years back, California was a big deal to Alabama football on the recruiting trail. California was a huge deal here. Aside from getting the in-state talents here in Alabama, aside from getting the wide receivers, defensive backs, and offensive linemen from Florida, aside from getting, when you're able to pull those guys from Georgia, snatch them away from Kirby Smart, that's always a great thing for you as Bama fans. When you're able to go and pull guys from the state of Louisiana, keeping them away from LSU, that's always a joy to you as Bama fans. But there was one point in time a few years back, California was a huge deal. And I remember when the Crimson Tide lost Lane Kiffin, U.S. fans were like, no, we lost an ace. That's an ace. That's our California ace. Why did we lose him? Whoever we hire, they better have connections to California. We can't afford to lose that state. And then when Taj LaPointe left, you guys were feeling the exact same way. Heard, whoever comes in here better have a connection to the state of California. California, a few years back, was a huge deal to U.S. fans on the recruiting trail. But in the last couple of classes, that state has lost some luster. You're not looking at California now the way you look at Florida, the way you look at Georgia, the way you look at Texas, the way you look at LSU, the way you look at the East Coast when you talk Maryland and the Washington, D.C. area. So this is a huge thing here. Bryce is carrying this state on his shoulders. The state of California is telling the Bryce, hey, bro, get Nick Saban back to looking at us here on the recruiting trail. Of Saban, 6 national championships with Alabama. Of Saban, 6 titles for the Crimson Tide. 3 of those titles, half of those, have come from quarterbacks in state. That's another thing that's in Paul Tyson's cap. When you look at A.J. McCarron, won 2 national championships as a starter. He's hailing from Mobile. Jacob Coker, national championship in 2015. He hails from Mobile. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting you started here on the show. Upon our return, we dissect your phone calls, your tweets, your chats, your texts, your interactions. What is the pressure that you could see on Bryce Young as he tries to carry all of this and trying to be the starting quarterback for Alabama. We'll talk to you, the fans, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back in, folks, to the action here on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, number one form for Bama football news, in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Spring football inching closer. The projected day for the first day of spring practice is March the 19th. So March 19th, have it on the calendar. March 19th, first day of spring practice. March 23rd would be Alabama's Pro Day. And as of Tuesday, the Crimson Tide has started the fourth quarter off-season program. David Ballou, Dr. Matt Ray, these guys really, really excited right now. Fourth quarter program has started. It's underway, kicked off on Tuesday. A lot of players really excited, working out, getting the conditioning, getting the training, getting themselves prepared, putting themselves in that mindset to not only be dominant in the spring, but in trying to win back-to-back national championships for the first time since the 2011-2012 season. So fourth quarter program in full gear right now. Really, really excited about what's about to take place here for Alabama in terms of spring football. Also, Tide fans, tonight, as I mentioned this earlier, Alabama men's basketball taking on Arkansas. If it wins tonight, the game will be on ESPN, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, or ESPN2. If Bama wins tonight, it wins its first SEC regular season title since 2002. So a lot of things to be excited about when you touch on head coach Nate Oates and Alabama men's basketball. But as you're getting your thoughts in, to call in 205-448-1358 as we are in the call segment, 205-448-1358. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Guys, shout out my man Spencer Revley one time for the one times, giving us that $5 donation via the Super Chats. As always, Bama fans, that daily Super Chat goal, $75 daily Super Chat goal. You guys have been incredible helping us out here, donating with your passion, your excitement, your love for Alabama football. $75 daily Super Chat goal. Spencer Revley getting us started there with that $5 donation. But as you guys are getting your calls in, we're going to go to a pretty cool topic right now, and it's none other than my man Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders is getting ready to have a dominant spring practice. There were two defensive recruits that U.S. fans talked about at Liberty for the 2020 class, and both of those guys, Will Anderson and Drew Sanders. You guys spoke a lot on both of these two. You were excited about them. You were happy about them. You were pumped up about them. Both guys, five-star athletes. According to our own Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, he actually gave Drew Sanders a diamond. He actually gave Drew Sanders a diamond grade of 1, which meant that Sanders would be an immediate contributor and a game changer. Now Anderson had the bigger season as a freshman, 10.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures. He had the bigger freshman impact, but Drew Sanders still made some big plays on special teams, and with him in the weight room, getting his body built up, getting his body in order right now, he's looking to show the Alabama football fans that this season is his season. This season is his season for the Crimson Tide. But as we look at this, as far as expectations in the fourth quarter program or expectations here for spring practice coming up, what are some of your expectations as fans? Like, what do you expect to see in spring practice? I mean, what do you expect to see from whether it could be the quarterback room, on the offensive line, wide receivers, defense? What are you expecting here this spring when you talk Alabama football? Because after not having spring practice last year due to the global coronavirus pandemic, you're going to have spring practice this year, which will be capped off with a spring game set for April the 17th, if I'm not mistaken here. But what are you expecting here for spring ball? What are you expecting here for spring practice? Just me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing, a couple of the freshmen, but more importantly than that, I'm looking forward to seeing how this offensive line shakes out. I mean, right now, you got a couple of freshmen that are pushing for some playing time on an offensive line. Tommy Brockermeyer, J.C. Latham, Terrence Ferguson Jr., among a few of those names there. But, who could be – how will this offensive line look? I know – and talking to a close, credible source, and I know the offensive line, the first day of spring ball could look like this from left to right. It could be Evan Neal, left tackle, left guard, Tommy Brown, center, Chris Owens, right guard, Emil Ekiyor, and right tackle, Kendall Randolph. Now, that's what I was told. From left to right, I was told Evan Neal, Tommy Brown, Chris Owens, Ekiyor, and Kendall Randolph from left to right to start spring ball. Now, that's not the end-all, be-all. That's not the end-all, be-all. But that's just to start spring ball on the offensive line. And then from there, then we could see who would emerge, who would rise, who would break out. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what Drew Sanders does as a sophomore for the Crimson Tide at outside linebacker. We take a break right now on the show. Upon our return, we get to our two outstanding guests, former Alabama linebacker Joshua McMillan and the young man who scouted Bryce Young as an 8th grader, Coach Keith Miller. We're talking to both of these two fine individuals right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back into the action here, folks, from the break on the number one ticket for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But this moment is not about me. We're going to go over to the In My Own Words hotline where we virtually bring in a superstar, a stud, I'm telling you, a stud, a 3-time national champion, a 4-time SEC champion. He's got more rings than I got hair on my head. And it's none other than former Alabama linebacker Joshua McMillan. Josh, man, what's popping off with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Getting ready for pro day. Been working out a couple times. Well, several times this week. But just working out every day, just trying to prepare for pro day and then maybe for the NFL draft.
Absolutely. We got Joshua McMillan here joining us virtually if you're just tuning into the show on a Wednesday. So, Josh, just taking me back through this past season, right? And it was weird because for so long we've been used to having fans feel Bryant-Denny Stadium and feel other venues in college football. We've been so used to walking amongst our teammates and our friends and our classmates and just having free liberty to do certain things. And this past year, we're hit with the COVID pandemic, and it's like a war zone. We're wearing masks, your social distance, you have all of this aggressive testing and all these nuances that you have to be prepared for. And then at one point, it was like, would we even have football? That was the big scare. That was the big concern. But we were able to have football. We were able to have a season. And you guys, Alabama went through the whole season undefeated, national championship. What were some of the more memorable moments from last season fighting through COVID, fighting through a conference-only schedule, but just staying together and winning it all? What were some of those best moments?
Some of the best. Let's just talk about when COVID first hit. Coach Saban had a meeting with the entire team, saying the virus had kind of got out of control. The NCAA was basically saying that we couldn't be up at the facilities, we couldn't come here, we basically couldn't have a spring practice. So I was in Maryland at the time with my wife, and we were staying there, and it was just like every day I was waking up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., going to run in the neighborhood, just trying to be active with what little things I had, like we weren't able to get into gyms, had to find places to actually use material to work out with. So like that was just crazy in a nutshell. And then, not having spring ball, we had to, meet with our coach virtually all the time, going over plays. I know it's kind of hard for the young guys because, the defensive playbook is like an encyclopedia, it's huge. So like I know it's kind of a struggle for the younger guys, but fast forwarding it all the way to June when we had to report back, and like we just all came into one room. I think the entire offense and defense, and we decided to all make a commitment to ourselves and each other, to like basically buy in for like these next 6 months, and we'll see where it would take us. And we made sacrifices of not going out, waking up, making sure everyone got their COVID test, because like that was a battle of itself on its own. You have to wake up 7 o'clock every morning, get a nose swab. I know people had struggles dealing with that. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it's something I've never encountered, and like that was just a strange adjustment for me. I know it's a strange adjustment for the rest of the players, but everyone came in and made a big sacrifice. We all bought into the principles and values, trusted Coach Saban's philosophy, and we just went in with a full head of steam. We went in, we trusted David Ballou, Matt Rail. We saw the results that they were giving us in such a short time, so we were really invested into those guys. They were a big help in me, for my ACL rehabilitation. But we bought in the entire season. We knew we were going to get banged up. We knew that if we continued to play at a high intensity and control only what we could control, we will become victorious. So I just think, with each and every one of those guys buying in, the extra time we had back in June, because we made so many sacrifices, off the field, not going out. We actually, came together closer, studying film, going over the playbook. I mean, I had several guys over to my house a couple of times throughout the week, just going over film. So, just buying in, building bonds with each other. It was it was all a part of the process of winning the national championship.
So at what point, Josh, was there a point, was there a game last year that you felt like after you won that game, in your mind it was, we're going to win the national championship? Was there any game that you won that put that thought in the mind of the team?
Let's see. What game? I mean, I would have to say, like, early on in the season, like back in like fall camp, the younger guys, I was so impressed with like how they were able to, like pick up on, the defense. And, once I saw that we actually had, backups, and we had Will Anderson coming in, making plays. You had guys like Tim Smith, Jalen Moody was making plays, Cajo was making plays. I think the entire defensive side, and, of course, with the beast offensive line, Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Smitty, the wide receiver core themselves. I mean, like, just when we could be 100% and execute all the entire plays, like I saw the team that we could be back in fall camp, because I mean, you got some of the best guys going against the best guys on defense and offense going against each other, and like they're making plays out there. It's a hard fought battle. We're going back and forth each and every day. So when I was able to see that, and being on the past teams, the 2015 national championship and the 2017 national championship, putting those guys with these guys, I saw something special with with this group. So I would definitely have to say, like, just back in fall camp. But let's see. The game I would really choose would have to be maybe Texas A&M. The second game of the season, I think it was, maybe.
That game would be Texas A&M, and that was a really cool game for me to watch as well, especially with Mac Jones out there shredding up the Aggies defense. If you're just tuning into the show, we got Joshua McMillan, former Alabama linebacker, joining us virtually right now. Josh, you could have left after the 2019 season. I know that was the year that you and Dylan Moses really wanted to play together. You guys were psyched about playing together. Of course, Pete Golding was excited about having you two guys together. Unfortunately, the both of you suffered an injury there. Y'all couldn't be on the field. But what made you want to come back to pursue that sixth year?
It was several factors. I felt like my career here, it didn't end the way that I wanted it to. Like, I wanted to go out on a bang. I wanted to go out and prove, to myself and to the rest of the world that, I could play Alabama football. I could be a dominant force on the defense, or be a dominant player at all. And the second thing is, I didn't want to, leave on, like a bad note, like I said earlier in I think it was the 2019 season. Like, going 11-2 was not what I thought I should end my career on at the University of Alabama. So, I thought coming back, investing my everything into, University of Alabama football, and, investing my all into the guys, and, pushing each and every one, being a leader on the field, pushing guys. I thought, that we would be victorious, especially with everyone coming back. We had Smitty, Dylan, Najee, we had Mac Jones, and those guys, stood up and made plays.
Now, as we look at this right here, Josh, for a minute, you preparing now for the NFL draft, but there's so many of your former teammates coming back. So, defensively and offensively, who are some guys that not many Bama fans know about that we have to keep our eyes on here in the upcoming season. Some guys that we do know about to keep our eyes on, and maybe a couple guys that we don't know about. Who will be the highlight guys for the Crimson Tide, defense and offense next season?
I guess I'll start on the defense. Definitely DeMarco Hillams. You know, he's a stud back in the secondary. You know, he's a hard hitter. He reminds me.
Gotta love Marco, man.
Yeah, he's a beast. Marco, you know, we have, you know, of course, Josh Jobe and Will Anderson, you know, they're going to hold their own. But I can definitely see Tim Smith being the force in the middle, along with DJ Dale and Phil Mathis. Jalen Moody, as you all may know, he had a breakout game, Arkansas week. And it's just someone we've always said whenever he got his chance that he would definitely make plays, you know, and, you know, he definitely stood up to that, you know. And let's see, who else on the defense? Who do we have back there? You know, Jordan Battle back there at safety. Over to the offense, Evan Neal. Evan Neal has been holding his own at right tackle for some time now. He stood up big in the national championship game. Keelan Robertson, Trey Sanders, he's been working real hard, you know, recovering from his incident that happened early on in the season. Of course, Bryce Young, but Paul Tyson has been looking, you know, really good. I actually caught some balls with him when I was working out, running some tight end routes, and he's looking really nice. And let's see, Javon Baker. Who else would I say? Ziggy, Xavier Williams. I would definitely have to say Xavier Williams and Jaleel Billingsley. Those two right there on the offense. I definitely see those two getting a lot of passes in the next season.
He is Joshua McMillan, ladies and gentlemen, former Alabama linebacker, 3-time national champion, 4-time SEC champion, getting ready for his pro day coming up. But joining us here virtually on In My Own Words on a Wednesday, Josh, man, continue to stay safe, be good, stay healthy. Appreciate you coming on, and have a great pro day, brother. You take care.
All right, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Joshua McMillan, former Alabama linebacker, 3-time national champion, 4-time SEC champion, joining us live here on the show and mentioned a wealth of names. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Will Anderson does in year 2, what DeMarco Hillams has to start in the secondary. He's got to start. I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan Battle. I want to see, what does Alabama do with Malachi Moore in the secondary? Do they keep him at star? Could they potentially maybe move him to outside corner to get more guys on the field? I mean, because he brings so much versatility to the table offensively. Of course, he brought up Evan Neal there. Javon Baker, excited to see what he can do. Xavier, Ziggy, Zigzag Williams, you know, was able to get his way on the field, but appreciate that coming from Josh McMillan. We now go to our second home run guest of the evening, my man Keith Miller, Coach Keith Miller, who scouted out Bryce Young starting off in the 8th grade, has been around him ever since, been around his family. Coach Keith, man, how you feeling right now?
Hey, Steven, I'm doing well. Thanks so much. Calling in from the West Coast, but happy to be on the show today.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you've been around Bryce since he was in the 8th grade. You know him, you know his family, you know the vibe, you know the personality, you know the traits that this young man brings to the table. Alabama fans are really, there's a sense of urgency around the fan base that, you know, Bryce has got to take it this year. I remember when he came in, there was so much high expectations. We saw what Tua Tagovailoa did, but many people are saying, yeah, Tua was good, but Bryce, this cat right here is something else. So just coming from your experience being around him, why should Alabama fans continue being this excited about what number 9 from California can give this program?
Yeah, I don't know about the word or sense of urgency. They should have a sense of calm and confidence. Being the incumbent, Bryce Young, is ready to step in for Alabama at the quarterback position. I know there's some competition there with Paul Tyson, but I fully expect Bryce to take the reins. And simply put, Bryce is a unique player at the quarterback position. Unlike anybody Alabama has ever had play for their university, but very similar to a guy that they've probably had nightmares about when speaking none other than Johnny Manziel, who came into Tuscaloosa and put an L on that Roll Tide team a few years back. So Bryce Young is a unique talent, and he's going to do special things without question in Tuscaloosa.
We got Coach Keith Miller here on the phone lines. If you're just tuning into the show, Coach Miller scouted out Bryce Young in the 8th grade and has been around him ever since then. So, Coach, just look at the fact that Bryce is carrying the entire state of California on his shoulders in a sense of trying to prove that he can come to the SEC from the West Coast and dominate at the quarterback position. The last 5-star quarterback Bama took from the California area, Blake Barnett in 2015, did not go as well. But when you look at what Bryce does just as an athlete, as somebody that can extend plays, what would you say would be Bryce's strong suits on the field as a quarterback?
I think the first thing that jumps out to me about Bryce is his leadership. Bryce is a phenomenal leader. He's a leader of men, and people seem to gravitate towards him, and they're willing to do anything and follow behind him. I think that's first and foremost. His poise as a young player will stand out early to Alabama fans. This is not a kid that gets rattled at any point in time. I've seen him up by 20. I've seen him down by 14. Same player. He never gets too high, never gets too low. Just someone who's absolutely personalized the quarterback position. You've really never seen anything like it. I liken him to Russell Wilson on steroids.
Russell Wilson on steroids, man. Some big love here coming from one coach Keith Miller here on Bryce Young. And so, Coach, when you look at just this upcoming season where for the first time, Alabama fans are saying, can we finally have that quarterback, that 5-star quarterback that can go wire to wire, start to finish as the guy and carry this program to a national championship? What does Bill O'Brien have to do as the offensive coordinator, in your mind, to get Bryce Young to pop, to get Bryce Young to play at just an unbelievably high level? What does Bill O'Brien need to do?
Bill O'Brien needs to have a seat and don't overcoach Bryce. Again, Bryce is a unique talent at the quarterback position. He doesn't need to be overcoached. Give him his concepts, give him his route combinations, and watch him make you a star. He's going to make Bill O'Brien a head coach very soon. So what Bill O'Brien needs to do is put his ego in the tank, have a seat, and let Bryce Young do his thing. He's going to lead Alabama, the SEC championships, national championships. I expect him fully to win at least one Heisman Trophy while he's in Tuscaloosa.
Now, was there ever a moment where he was at Mater Dei, Coach Miller, that when you watched him at Mater Dei, was there ever a game or a moment where you're going, I've never seen anything close to this kid?
Yes. And I would say it was probably in a more adverse situation. His junior year against IMG, which was the top program in the country at the time, Mater Dei is down by a couple points, and there's a minute and 50 seconds to go on the clock, and Mater Dei gets the ball inside their own 25-yard line. And Bryce, so calmly, so cool, in the pocket, outside the pocket, delivering the football accurately and on time, extending plays, making plays with his legs, and he dives in the end zone with a few seconds left to win the game. That's when I knew, or I knew before that, but that's what put the cherry on top for me. And I just knew there was nothing I had seen before him that could even hold a candle to him. You only see guys like Tom Brady, Joe Montana, maybe Aaron Rodgers do things like that. This kid was doing it in his junior year of high school. That tells you how special he is as a football player.
So last one on our end here, Coach Miller. We got Coach Keith Miller here on the phone lines out of California. Scouted Bryce Young in the 8th grade and has been around he and the family ever since then. So Coach Miller, final one on our end. Are you coming down to the spring game to watch this? Are you coming down for the A-Day game?
But you know what? Listen, that's a great question. And I used to be very close to the Alabama program a few years back. I'm more close now to the LSU program, but I'm a big supporter of all the kids across the country. And I don't know if I'll make it down to Tuscaloosa. My wife, she's not that big of a football fan, even though she likes football. She doesn't love it the way I do. So I don't know if she would appreciate being in Titletown, but I can tell you this. I remember when Tua Tagovailoa played in the spring game early in his career, and he really turned some heads. When Bryce Young gets that field for that spring game, it's going to be a whole new ball game for Alabama football. That scoreboard is going to light up, and he's going to do some spectacular things. And everybody better buckle up and hold on to their seats because Bryce Young's season is here, and it's only going to be here for 2 more years.
He is Coach Miller. Coach Keith Miller joined us live here on the phone lines for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, in my own words, on a Wednesday. Coach Miller out of California, who scouted Bryce Young in the 8th grade, has been around Young and the family for a long time, knows everything when it comes down to one Bryce Young. Coach Miller, appreciating you coming on here, giving us time out of your day. You stay safe, man. Take care of yourself and be good.
Thanks a lot, Steve, man. Have me on the show anytime. I'd love to come back and join you all.
Absolutely. Fun having Coach Keith Miller on the Talk One. Bryce Young. I mean, Rudy Griffin had me prepared to run through a brick wall on Monday about Paul Tyson. And now today, Coach Keith Miller saying, hold on now. Bryce is going to be on Aaron Rodgers, meets Joe Montana, meets Johnny Manziel, meets Russell Wilson. This is going to be a fun spring. This is going to be a fun spring, A-Day, quarterback camp, race, you name it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic. We take a break right now on the show. Upon our return, we dive back into the phone lines to entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your ideas, your questions of Bama football right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back in, folks, from the break on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news on a Wednesday hump day. Hottest show on the streets, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we go back in and take your calls here, call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Got to remind you of mybookie.ag. Latest sponsor to TDA, mybookie.ag. So you feeling good, you feeling fortunate, you feeling lucky, you feel like you got the skills to pay the bills where wagering on these Alabama games are concerned. You make the right play and sign up today at mybookie.ag. And when you do make the right play and sign up, you use the promo code TDAlabama to get that deposit matched halfway all the way up to $1,000. You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag. Check them out today. Got a couple of super chats to get to right now. How about Gucci Tide, y'all? Gucci Tide coming in here with this $10 donation via the super chats. Appreciate that love from Gucci Tide. And Roll Tide and Rise Up, baby. That $25 donation coming from his end. Appreciating Gucci Tide and Roll Tide and Rise Up. Once again, folks, at $75 daily Super Chat goal. $75 daily Super Chat goal. U.S. fans have been stupendous helping us out here, donating your support, your passion, your love for us. We are grateful to have you guys check us out here, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we now jump into the phone lines, 205-448-1358. That's the number. We're taking your calls, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Big Steven. It's Tobias from Fresno. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good, Tobias. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. Love the energy today. And that last, man, you're getting some special guests on these shows, man, that's breaking down the inside scoop on these kids coming in. So I feel like you. I'm pretty pumped up because either way, it looks like we're in good hands at the quarterback spot. What you think?
I mean, Tobias, I'm trying not to have a bias here. I mean, I had a guy on for Jalen Milroe that was his head coach, Todd McVay, out of Katy, Texas. Brought on Rudy Griffin to talk Paul Tyson. Now you just heard Coach Keith Miller, who scouted out Bryce Young in the 8th grade. So I'm sitting here giving sugar to everybody.
Yeah, you are. Well, you know what? I called and I said I was rushing home. Actually, I said, "Is there a show on tonight?" Because don't know how to get in touch with you otherwise, but I said, let me call in because every time I look at the battles, like when you guys are doing like who's going to battle who for what position, it seems as though in a few positions, there's a skip over the last recruiting class, especially like at the lineman spot. Because I was looking at the roster. What do you know about that kid, George? I think it's George, real big lineman that was...
Damian George. Damian George came in 2020, and I like Damian George. He has the size of an offensive tackle. I feel like, though he has the technique to start off to be a guard, I feel like he could be a really mean offensive guard, but once he gets that down, but I can see him kicking out to offensive tackle. And it's going to be interesting because you have so many linemen on the roster. You lose Kyle Flood. You bring in Doug Marrone, who has big experience in the NFL as a head coach and coaching offensive linemen. So the talent is there for him to use.
Yeah, okay. I was feeling that, and something else I was looking at is Pro Focus. They'll come out with their rankings or whatever later on. That magazine, I love getting it because it talks about how many snaps each player has played. And although we're calling like different positions young, except for at like receiver, man, these kids have had a lot of snaps. I went back and looked at the season again, and I didn't even realize the rotation on that defensive line. It's going to be nasty, Steve, on that D line.
It is. My one concern on the defensive line, Tobias, is can we get one season healthy out of LeBron Ray? He came as a 5-star. He came in from the North Alabama area in 2017. Can we get one healthy season from LeBron Ray? If Bama can get that, I will be 100% thrilled because he has not been healthy since his freshman year. But we appreciate Tobias Brookins, man, for that call. He also donated here to the Super Chats as well, so we appreciate that donation there coming from Tobias Brookins. And here comes Jimmy Clay. Here he comes. That 25 donation coming in from one Jimmy Clay. Appreciating that right there. And the goal has been reached, folks, at $75 Super Chat goal. Give yourselves a hands. You, the fans, have done it again, reaching that daily Super Chat goal of $75. Appreciating the love from every last one of you guys. You guys are awesome. We take our next call here. You're live on the show. What's going on tonight?
What is going on, Steven? It's Dominic calling from the state of Virginia. What's up?
Dominic from Virginia, man. I am good. I'm great, actually. You got spring practice on March 19th. You got pro day March 20th. Tonight, Alabama men's basketball will face Arkansas. If it wins, it earns a SEC regular season title. I'm pumped right now.
Yeah, and speaking of basketball, actually, I've been getting back into that. How do you think our offensive line is going to go?
The offensive line for football or basketball?
Basketball.
The offense for basketball is going great. I mean, John Petty's knocking down shots. Shackelford's knocking down shots. He's driving to the rim. Herb Jones is developing offense and firepower to him. Josh Primo, that kid as a freshman, if he can thicken up a little bit more, but that guy's that's a knockdown shooter, is Josh Primo. The one thing for Bama basketball, finishing around the basket. We've missed some layups that have been easy. Defensively, we've been great this year defensively. If we can just finish around the basket a bit more and own the rebounding department. There have been some times where we've been bullied there on the rebounding department, but 18-5 on the year, 13 wins in the SEC. Proud of this team.
Absolutely. But anyway, I want to get to football now. How do you think the free agency is going to stack up in the college football offseason for the Crimson Tide?
The free agency, so you're thinking of the college, you're thinking of the transfer portal right there. So it's a transfer portal here for Alabama going into next season. Well, right now they got two guys in the portal. That is Ben Davis and Alec Cajo. I don't know where those two will end up. I know Alabama is wanting to get Henry Toto out of the portal from Tennessee. Some fans want Alabama to get Toto. Other fans are like, leave that man where he is. I mean, it's split down the middle. I wouldn't mind having Toto, but right now, just two guys in the portal, Cajo and Ben Davis, and hopefully those will be the only two guys in the portal. But Dominic, we appreciate that call right there. Dominic out of Virginia. Appreciate the love coming from him. We take our next call. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on there, Bo?
What's going on, man?
Not much there. I was listening to the. I know what the coach's name is, but he got me fired up there about talking about Bryce Young this year. But
Coach Miller told me he was going to bring the heat. Coach Miller told me before we even got on the show that he was going to bring the heat. He was going to talk Bryce, and you expect him to do that. I mean, that's his guy. Scouted him out in the 8th grade, has been around Bryce, been around the family from California, saw him all throughout high school, so you expect nothing less. This is his guy.
That's right, Bo. I'm not really a big fan of Money Man Zale, but if he can do what he did at Bama, like he did to us at Texas A&M, I can take that. And then what he said to Russell Wilson, I like that there, Bo.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that call right there coming in.
You want to say that? Roll Tide to you. Appreciate the show. All right there, Bo.
Absolutely. I mean, if Bryce Young can do the Johnny Manziel thing, I mean that would be fantastic. And once again, I've always stated this, like, I've always given the credit to each quarterback in this quarterback room. Now, of course, like I've mentioned, I know I've been high on Paul Tyson. I had every right to be high on Paul Tyson, but if Bryce Young was to come out here with this job, hey, that's fine. And I will admit that I was wrong on the whole situation because, I mean, once again, I've never said that, Bryce Young couldn't be or couldn't play, at an elite level. But he comes out here in the spring and shows up and shows out, hey, it can be fun to watch. It's going to be very exciting to watch here for the Crimson Tide moving forward. But as you guys continue to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there to get your voice be heard here on the show, 205-448-1358 here. Cool topic we get to right now, and it goes to Landon Dickerson. Alabama offensive lineman Landon Dickerson. It is amazing the work he is putting in to push himself to be a first-round draft pick. Dickerson got hurt against Florida, hurt his knee, and while anybody else would be like, I played a good season, I've had a good year, I hurt my knee, let's just cut our ties, cut our losses. Landon Dickerson was like, I got to be back on this field to help this team in some way, shape, or form. And he pushes himself to work his way back to take the 2 snaps that he took in the national championship game against Ohio State, was not 100% healthy, but still went out there to take those 2 snaps. And then, as you're looking at him on screen, the athleticism of him doing these leg and these knee drills, this is crazy. The athleticism coming off, hurting the knee, the athleticism of him able to put his foot up, his leg up in the air, bend his knee, balance his knee, contort his knee, maneuver with the knee, it's unreal. It is unreal, the determination of Landon Dickerson, and he talked about it, yesterday on a radio station. I think he was on 94.5 Jocks in Birmingham. He mentioned how he and Mac Jones are a package deal. Whichever NFL team takes Mac Jones, they got to take Dickerson too. And the 2 of them are actually going into work of putting together a podcast in the future. So Mac Jones and Landon Dickerson trying to be teammates in the NFL and maybe media mates in doing podcasts. Whatever they do, going to be fun to chart the careers of Mac Jones and one Landon Dickerson. Wishing them the best in the NFL and especially at the Pro Day coming up on March 20th. But we take a break right now on the show. Upon our return, we dive into one Will Anderson. What is this young man's ceiling? After a dominant freshman year, people expect more from him next season. What is Anderson's ceiling, if he even has one? We'll talk Will Anderson after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSFootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSFootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we are back in from the break here on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get into final topic of conversation that involves one Will, the Terminator Anderson, we're gotta remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So people, check this out. For all you fans still overjoyed with the Tide's national championship, check out our championship collection merch. Be sure to grab you an 18 of them thang folk t-shirt, hoodie, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs which features all 18 championship years on the back. So you head over right now to TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Go over Championship Collection tab and get you that merch today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we can look at one Will Anderson. What is his ceiling? If he has a ceiling, what is Will Anderson's ceiling? Because this past season, he had a big year as a freshman. I mean, people were talking about, what Brian Branch could do, what Drew Sanders could do, what T.M. Smith could do as freshmen. But it was Will Anderson that said, hold on now, my time is right now. Will Anderson took the Jack linebacker job from Ben Davis, 52 tackles a season ago, 10.5 of those for loss, 7 sacks, 8 quarterback hurries. The young man, freshman All-SEC, freshman All-American this past season, was the Deshaun Alexander National Freshman Player of the Year. Just an incredible season for Will. And the first sack came against Auburn. He would average 2 sacks each against LSU, Arkansas, and Florida. And just for me, I always think about if he would have finished plays early on in the season against Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Georgia, like if he would have finished sacks early on in the season, who knows how many sacks he could have actually finished with? Who knows how many tackles for loss he could have actually finished with? Like, he was always just 1 inch, 1 foot, 1 step away from knocking the quarterback completely out of the next stratosphere. It was always just so close to get into the signal caller. If he would have finished those plays early on, how big of a season could Will Anderson really, truly have had? And then right now, to me, his floor is Tim Williams. His floor is Timmy Williams. And that's a pretty darn good floor when you talk about it, because Tim's breakout year, Tim's year where he emerged and actually got big playing time was 2015, his junior year. And it was in that season that Tim had 12.5 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries. If you look at the numbers from Will's freshman year and Tim's junior year, Tim's first year playing, the numbers are compatible. The numbers are similar. It's just that Tim Williams, as a junior, he was simply just a pass rush sack specialist. He came on the field solely on 3rd and long. He came on the field solely in a pass rush, in a passing situation, versus Will Anderson. Will is a true 3-down edge setting outside linebacker. That's the difference there between Tim and Will. Tim was the sack specialist. Will Anderson, true edge setter. He can stuff the run as well as get to the quarterback. So to me, the floor is Tim Williams. But the question is, what's the ceiling for Will Anderson? And in talking to a lot of people that I know, including a few, former players, one in particular said, Steven, I think Will can potentially be Chase Young 2.0. And I'm like, whoa, Chase Young? First round pick out of Ohio State, Chase Young? He's like, yeah, the guy said, look, I think Will can be Chase Young 2.0. And when you look at Chase Young here for a minute, during his junior year at Ohio State, 2019, Chase Young, 46 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, team high, 16.5 sacks, team high, 7 quarterback hurries, 6 forced fumbles. And that 2019 season, the Buckeyes gave up just 13.7 points per game. Like, Chase Young was a one-man wrecking crew out there for the Buckeyes, and that was the reason as to why he was looked at as the safest pick in the 2020, draft venue, and one of the more electrifying picks in that venue. And he's already having major success for the Washington football team. But in terms of just keeping it at home where former Bama players are concerned, I've had a couple of former players tell me, Steven, he kind of reminds me, and he being Will Anderson, he kind of reminds me of Cornelius Bennett a little bit. And Cornelius Biscuit Bennett, who played from 1983 to 86 for the Tide, played under Coach Walter Ray Perkins. Cornelius Bennett, throughout his career, we're looking at 287 tackles, 15 sacks. We're looking at a 3-time first-team All-American, 1984, 85, and 86. Cornelius Bennett in the 86 season, 61 tackles, 9 of those for loss, 10 sacks, which had him 6th in school history. He had the big sack of Steve Berline called The Sack, which was a Daniel Moore painting. Very athletic, very gifted, very incredible, coming out the edge, flattening quarterbacks like pancakes. And I don't know if it was the Bisquick version or making the pancakes from scratch, but he was flattening quarterbacks like pancakes, putting them guys on the ground. That was just one Cornelius Bennett. So you even got a couple of former Alabama players looking at Will Anderson as maybe his ceiling is Cornelius Bennett. So some say Biscuit, some say Chase Young. But for you as a fan, for you as an Alabama fan, what is the ceiling for Will Anderson? Because he's expected to do big things in the upcoming season. He's expected to, contend for the single-season sack record. He's expected to contend for, being the leader in sacks, having the team high in sacks. He's going to be expected to contend for, Chuck Bednarik Award, Bronco Nagurski Award, maybe be, an SEC Defensive Player of the Year if Malachi Moore doesn't have anything to say about that. Will Anderson is going to be in contention for quite a few things here, for quite a few individual accolades in the upcoming fall campaign. But it's going to be really fun to see how Anderson does this year and how big can his numbers be in this upcoming campaign. But that's just a very cool topic. They're just talking to people about what could be the ceiling for Will Anderson. It's going to be fun to watch him in the fall. But as always, Tide Nation, you want to have the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we have you covered here on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Got you covered right there where the show is concerned. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Friday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Also, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link is in the description. If you want the print copy of the magazine, the print copy that's coming soon, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, you become a subscriber today, touchdownalabama.com, become a subscriber. That way you can get that print copy of the magazine. Also, you can copy that four-finger bling necklace courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children do the right thing, the smart thing, the legitimate thing, to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spit in my own words.